Fufu's taking on a challenge today, guys. He's playing as the Mech Boy in Calderos Refinery, and he's going up against the Plague Champion of Jones. Now, if you don't know anything about this matchup, well, let's just say... Oh, this was a competition game. Damn. Fair enough. Let's just say the Plague Champion is probably the best hero in the game for fighting orcs. I think that's pretty universally agreed upon. If you disagree, please tell me down below. Who do you think the best hero for fighting orcs is? Generally, it's considered the Plague Champion. The damage over time, piercing bolter that he's got, pain in the ass for orcs. Brutal against shooter boys trying to trade against him in ranged. Brutal against the melee because the damage over time does full damage in retreat, so your melee squads have to retreat really fast against the PC, or they risk getting wiped. Orc melee in general, especially in tier 1, tends to be quite squishy. So the last thing you want is a guy who can put even more pressure on your squishy orcs and potentially wipe them if you're not quick enough with retreating. Obviously, the Plague Champion is tremendously good at anti-melee. He's got the Blight Grenades for melee spam. He's got Plague Sword for things like ASM, which is obviously not relevant here. But in general, it's just a pain. You got your Touch your Nurgle for any big engagements, send the orcs flying. Noxious Cloud in tier 2, potentially wiping squads on retreat. It's scary. And when you're going up against double CSM and a Plague Champion, in green cover with healing worship, I mean, good luck. You've got no chance of beating that in a ranged firefight. You've got to try and fight that in melee. Fighting the Plague Champion in melee can be a problem. Now, whilst he's isolated like this, okay, really? Is he going to be... I was going to say, are you really rushing Blight Grenades right now while you're tied in melee? That seems strange. Nope. He's going to be backing off. He might get that later. We'll see. This is a pretty bad spot for the CSM. The sluggers just ride the melee charge and then can swap to the CSM, and now they melee charge into them. Easy. Easy. You need to have your heretics in the same location as the sluggers. Sluggers right now are upgrading to burners, but they don't need to because there's no gens, because Jones has gone for double CSM. So really, I think Fufu should have cancelled that. That was a bit of a mistake. He'd known there was 2 CSM because he's seen the other CSM over here to kill the mech. He's gone for fast electric armor as well. Okay, Fufu making mistakes here. He's playing a bit brain dead. He's playing like he's going up against a heretic spam build, even though he isn't. And he's not reacting to his opponent. I mean, electric armor putting in a lot of work here. These heretics, of course, default. No ACs, and now you've got all the boys in retreat. Shooters force melee, they do good damage as well. That's a wiped heretic squad. GG no re. I mean, that's a tool that the Mech Boy has, for sure, out of all the orc heroes. I'd say K-Nob's probably the worst. Walt Boss has a bit more utility in melee. Can get a bit more done. Mech Boy's got his electric armor to punish heretic play. That might be why we see the CSM coming out here, double CSM, instead of having the typical CSM double heretics. I think double CSM's pretty decent against the orcs anyway. Doesn't scale amazing, but can be pretty brutal in tier 1. I'm going to follow it up with Noise Marines. I mean, he definitely needs to get some aspiring champion ticks out here, does Jones, or he's just going to get ran down in melee, especially since Fufu's now got a Storm Boy squad. Fufu might want to consider following up with a Pain Boy as well. Just get big shooters on your shooter boys. You don't want the shooter knobs because generally you don't want to be trading in ranged with Chaos anyway, because they will out trade you. So the knobs are a little bit redundant. There's no infiltration to be dealing with. Just get your shooters to do damage and control the enemy with aiming what's that, and leave it at that. Put the rest of your money into melee. Probably a better strategy. That could be where we see the Blight Grenades. Pain Boy actually pretty good against Blight Grenades as well, since Blight Grenades do their damage mostly over time. The initial spike damage would be healed off by the initial heal, and then the heal over time from the Pain Boy would offset most of the Blight Grenade damage as well. So we're getting double Noise Marines right now. I don't know if this is intentional or not from Jones. Noise Marines are actually deceptively good against melee, so it could work. Like I say, I don't know if it's intentional or not. I would definitely get some AC ticks up though. We'll see. We've got a little bit of idling going on. I mean, heavily in favour of Fufu right now in terms of map control. We'll see how long it lasts. Double Noise Marines could just push down this far side and go for the gens. That could be somewhat effective. A little bit of chip damage here from the electric armor. Probably not going to get any models. No. Just got to back off. These Noise Marines going to go down there. Yeah, I'll probably cap the points before progressing to the farm. We'll see though. Maybe not. CSM taking this side. PC in the mid. Looks like that's going to be it for Fufu. Perhaps. Has he got... Oh, he's going for the knobs. No, I don't like that. I don't like the knobs. Really don't think he needs the knob leaders here. Again, I feel like Fufu's not adapting his build whatsoever. This is a very good generic orc build, but there's no adaptation to the actual threats he's facing. Even looters would be quite good against these double Noise Marines. Double Noise Marines, double CSM. I mean, yeah, you're facing 5 range squads right now. Looters actually would be quite good, as odd as that sounds, because looters are very, very low pick rate. Not a unit you get very often. CSM should just be able to force melee here and beat the sluggers. Yeah, they gotta back off. The sluggers only have a chance if they can use line of sight blockers, or at the very least have green cover to sort of skirt down and use whilst advancing into the CSM. So Noise Marines have kind of caught Fufu completely out of position here. I don't know why he didn't expect this, given that he knew the enemy was around this position. And very good positioning here from the Plague Champion. This is a massive blob, and a Blight Grenade is going in. Oh, dodged. Dodged it nicely. Dodged it nicely. But he loses the entire gen farm. He is flowing a little bit of requisition as Fufu, so he's going to immediately replace that lost power node. So his economy actually not looking too bad. Let's have a look at Jones. He does have a full power farm up. If we look at his eco, it's just behind Fufu. Wow. I don't really know why that is. No Eternal War. Only one war gear. Fufu's got a war gear. Strange. I mean, obviously, 2 tier 1.5 units here, but yeah, well, I guess the CSM are more expensive as well than the Shooter Boys by default. Obviously, Shooter Boys eventually become more expensive with all these upgrades, but it means that you can get your gens up as the Orc player a lot sooner than Jones could here. And I guess that's the reason why Fufu's economy is so much better right now. I don't feel like either player's bled a particularly high amount. Really, there's not been a lot of combat in this match at all so far. Even like the army versus army fights that have occurred, I feel like they've been very anticlimactic. They've just sort of stopped immediately. One side's just retreated all his units. There's not been any major sustained fight. Looks like Fufu could be preparing himself for a little push down onto the gen farm here of Jones. Indeed, the shooters are heading down that way. Stormbows across the other side. The double Noise Marines once again going to be advancing on Fufu's power farm. I think Fufu will want to get a Death Dread here to tie up these Noise Marines. Just keep it around this side. Stop them getting the easy bashes. You can see here the AoE damage from dual Sonic Blasters is scary. Even in retreat, keep hitting these guys. You should be getting models. Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. 2 more Stormboy models down. Now you can advance to the gen farm. Wow, Fufu actually rotating all of his forces back. Okay, not all of his forces. That's a good play. He rotates his shooters and he sends his burner sluggers down here because he knows there isn't much to defend it. That's good. Shooters are the best option here against the Noise Marines. There's obviously sluggers plus Stormboys would wreck this. But if you've only got 1 melee squad, it's actually not going to do very good at all because the sheer level of DPS is just too high. But a big miss micro actually from Fufu, moving way too close to the Noise Marines. Should be using attack move to prevent that, to ensure that his ranged units are always fighting at the maximum possible range. But found himself in a really tricky spot there, getting shot by CSM on the side. Did the sluggers manage to get the bash? There is a Plague Champion coming, but it should be fine. As long as he doesn't eat the Blight Grenade point blank and not notice, he should be fine. But obviously the Noise Marines here are going to get rid of all the farm for Fufu. There is a Death Dread now. It's coming down pretty fast. Can't rampage yet. It doesn't have its burners and bits. Believe it needs its burners and bits to get the rampage. And it looks like Yeah, the sluggers dodged the blight grenade pretty damn well. Idling now. Could just force melee on the plague champion at this point now the blight grenade's gone. And there you go, full farm destroyed by the double noise marines, and because of that, ooh, we've seen the plague marines getting purchased, but cancelled for some reason. I wonder why. Yeah, gonna repurchase them. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know. What else are you gonna get? Las cannon? But there's already Storm Boys and the Mech Boy. I think plague marines are an obvious choice right now. Slugger's literally pushing the plague champion into his base here. Didn't manage to kill all the gens of Jones. One was remaining, but once again, we see that Jones is pushed back and the map control is heavily in favour of Fufu. McBoy should be coming out here, capping that mid VP. Burners and Bits now up on the Death Dread, and he will finish off that remaining gen. And probably also the Node. Where are the Plague Marines? He's cancelled the Plague Marines again. What is he doing, Jones? Why? I don't understand what Jones is thinking here. He's literally got no AV. Okay, I see what he's thinking. He just wants a Chaos Dreadnought. But a Chaos Dreadnought's not amazing against the Death Dread, if I'm being honest with you. It's really not. Death Dread has the full 40% melee resist, Chaos Dreadnought only has 20%. Now obviously the Chaos Dreadnought has a bit more HP. But I'm pretty sure it loses the 1v1 against the Death Dread in melee. Maybe not if it has repair support, worship support, and it gets a good bit of shooting in before the Death Dread gets in melee. But consider, we do have heavy melee potential from Storm Boys and their knob. You could easily get the Beamy Death Gun on the Mech Boy, and once the Beamy Death Gun comes out on the Mech Boy, then yeah, I think this Dreadnought's kind of done. So if I was Fufu, I'd be seeing the Dreadnought in a bit. I'd be going for a Beamy Death Gun on my Mech Boy, and I would be upgrading both my Storm Boys and my Slugger Boys. Slugger Boys here already upgraded, Storm Boys not yet. And then I'd probably be going for a Weird Boy just to top off the composition. Let's see, Death Dread's going to just charge in right now. He's using Rampage and he's using Cult of Speed. There is potential repair support here though for the Plague Champion. So I think while there's repair support, the Dreadnought should take this fight against the Death Dread. Should do fine. I'm not gonna though, apparently. Jones is being very, very cautious right now, and I don't like it. If I'm Jones, I'm gonna be going for a Plague Marine next. Wait, does Fufu really want double Death Dread? That's a really bold play if he does. It's not a bad play. But, I mean, it's not a bad play right now, but it would be a bad play if Plague Marines are coming out next. And honestly, Plague Marines look great right now. I really would not be going for a Las Cannon Havoc if I was Jones, that's for sure. Not when there's a Mech Boy and Storm Boys. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Miss Micro here from Jones, overcommitting his Noise Marines. We're going to take a lot of damage there from the Electric Armor and the Daka 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 of the Shooter Boys. Nice point-blank grenade there on the Storm Boys on the side of the map. Plague Champion going to be retreating after hitting that. How many boys is it going to kill? Maybe more than one. Just one so far. The Death Dread will push back the Storm Boys. Knob coming in for the Storm Boys now. CSM honestly not really achieving a whole lot, it would appear. They're just kind of hanging out, not really doing a whole lot. Sluggernob here is going to rip them to pieces. Not ideal. Where are the Plague Marines for Jones? Looks like he would have the economy to get some. No, not quite. A little bit down on wreck. Plague Marines will round out his composition quite beautifully. Oh, he's going for Chosen Plague Marines. Well, you know what? That actually makes Fufu's second Death Dread amazing. Clearly, Jones had not seen that. And now he might have just clicked, but it's too late. He's got Chosen Plague Marines. These guys, ultimate anti-melee. Very slow moving, but huge HP regen. Their explosions heal the other nearby allied units, including the other Plague Marine models. And their blades do damage over time in melee. They also have a breath ability, which puts a debuff on the enemy to remove all their HP regen, and means that if you kill any model in that squad whilst the debuff is active, it will spawn a zombie model. All in all, you don't want to fight these guys in melee, you want to shoot them up with your shooter boys as much as possible. But they don't do any real anti-vehicle. I mean, they don't do any anti-vehicle at all. So Death Dreads will be a problem. We've got a Mark of Khorne Dreadnought now, so that will be able to handle the Death Dreads way better in melee. It does maybe 10, 15, 20% more damage than the Death Dreads in melee. You see 1200 HP, 950 on a Death Dread, and it's got the Blood Rage ability, which will further improve its damage and damage resistance. No, maybe it's just damage resistance, in fact. But yeah, that'll make it very good for trades. Chosen Plague Marines right now in combat with Shooter Boys. Potentially going to wipe them with the damage over time. We'll see. He only gets one hit off there. A little boy zombie has been spawned, but wasting his shots on some shooters here. This Death Dread is getting quite low on HP, just from being chopped to pieces by a Chaos Dreadnought. Oh, beautiful Blight Grenade coming in right now. Oh, yikes, yikes. Nasty, nasty Blight Grenade, summoning lots of zombies there from the ability. And that is quite brutal. Yeah, lots of dead orcs. That is a lot of bleed. Did a squad just get wiped? Yeah, I think... yeah, that was a Shooter Boy squad that just got wiped there. Didn't see the Plague Champion moving in and throwing off that nasty, nasty Blight Grenade. Man, I mean, good players, they'll dodge that Blight Grenade. It's so slow, it's so telegraphed, it flies through the air really slow, it's short range, the PC's so slow, but man, sometimes you just get a chaotic engagement. If that Blight Grenade can land, it is brutal. Jones really needs some AV. I don't know why he's not getting any AV. Just get some Plague Marines, for God's sake, lad. Fufu's got the idea, he's got some tank busters out, that'll help him take down the Khorne Dread. Obviously he doesn't want to be taking on the Khorne Dread in melee with Death Dreads, that's not a good idea. I mean, he can do it if he's got tank busters nearby shooting the Khorne Dread, but just as far as a duel would go, not a good idea. It's going to be a second Dreadnought for Jones. I mean, what's this going to be? Is this going to be a Mark of Tzeentch one with a missile launcher to kill the Death Dreads? Maybe. Or maybe I'll just keep it autocannon. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like the Death Dreads will just run around doing whatever they want. It's going to be so hard to kill. Senpai's easily forced off the PC here, but he's not going to retreat prior to throwing off a Blight Grenade. No kills so far, but a hell of a lot of damage on the Storm Boys. And yeah, look at this, just the Death Dreads walk forward and they can tank so much and force off so many squads, making the Noise Marines and the CSM just completely useless. Fufu should probably be taking tier 3 off the back of this. You see there, a little bit of Sonic Blaster Fire comes out, instantly Stormboy dead because they were so low on HP thanks to the Blight Grenade. And here comes the second Dreadnought. Autocannon Dreadnought it is so far. So it can put on a little bit of pressure against the infantry. Obviously the Mark of Tzeentch Missile Launcher Dreadnought would be not great at that. Here we go, Beamy Death Gun coming up for the mech boy. This is... I like Fufu's composition here. I think Fufu's composition is way better than Jones's right now. There's just not enough AV damage coming out of Jones's composition against these Death Dreads. These Death Dreads should be able to just run rampant. And there's a really good amount of AV damage here coming from Fufu with the Beamy, Mech Boy and Tank Busters. And Jones is just going to walk forward into it. Very brave man. Now he's getting second thoughts, pulling back his Khorne Dreadnought. But Plague Marines are tanking. Chosen Plague Marines, that is. Getting into melee with the Mech Boy. He teleports out. He's going to reposition and get some shots off. Where are the Busters? Okay, the Busters are just getting hunted by the Chosen Plague Marines right now. And I guess the CSM will focus fire the Mech who needs to get out of there. He's going to drop. He does drop. Cult of Speed activated by the Death Dread, but a misplay here by Fufu, keeping this Death Dread meleeing a Khorne Dreadnought. Not a good idea. Look at that. One more hit from the Death Dread here would have killed the Chosen Plague Marines. If he had this other Death Dread chasing him down, he would have been in a much better position. So, oh, I was going to say, trying to get the snipe down the Khorne Dreadnought, and he succeeds. A beautiful Tank Buster barrage there. A little bit too late with the Noise Marines. And now the autocannon Chaos Dreadnought is in trouble, because he's got two Death Dreads to fight, and they are very low on HP, but they got the full melee resist versus the soft melee resist of this guy. He's going to struggle. Yeah, another cult of speed. Gonna get that weakened Death Dread out to safety pretty fine. And it's gonna be a Weird Boy as the next purchase here for Fufu. I would have gone tier 3 at this point. Good amount of power stockpiled for both players. Unironically, Knobs could be pretty fantastic right now. We'll see. She's got a nice array of melee threats right now with the Storm Boys and the Slugger Boys, even if we've seen Mark of Tzeentch CSM be able to tie them up in melee pretty easily. Especially with these double Death Dreads. Might not be a bad idea to get some repair grots at this point. He does have the mech. He needs to replace the mech actually. The mech obviously can repair as well, but he needs that for the AV to help deal with this Dreadnought. Once this Dreadnought's gone, the composition for Jones is absolutely miserable compared to Fufu's. Again, I just want to reiterate the just absence of presence that the Noise Marines and CSM have had on the field come tier 2 here. I mean, they just feel like they've done nothing. They were so powerful in tier 1, but what have they done in tier 2 realistically? It feels like it's just all been the Dreadnought. Plus the occasional Blight Grenade, I suppose. So Jones just buying himself a little bit of time here with a Noxious Cloud, pushing Fufu back so he can attempt to cap the mid. I don't know if he's going to be able to because of the Weird Boy. Does he have the anti-knockback armor on his PC? No, he doesn't. Probably wants to get that. Be a good idea. Good for caps. Probably not a good idea sending his Chosen Plague Marines in right now against this big blob. They're going to get kind of wrecked. Nothing really attacking them right now. Stormboy's jumping over the top of them rather than going into melee. I mean, when there's only 2 models like that and they're that low HP, I think the Stormboys can safely melee them. And yet, for some reason, Jones goes for a Las Cannon Havoc, which is so strange to me. Why would you not go for Plague Marines? He also goes for a turret, which is brave. And if the turret refocuses the Stormboys, yeah, wipes them. Wow, big, just fuck up from Fufu. Could have just jumped the Stormboys out. Don't know why he didn't. And this turret is actually proving beautiful right now. Helps get the wipe on the Stormboys and then shut down all of this blob, and it's gonna push Fufu back. But Jones did lose the last Cannon Havoc, so there's basically still no AV on the field. Now the Death Dread can move in with the burners and bits. It can just burn down the turret. I don't know. I don't know why Jones went for a Las Havoc instead of Plague Marines. Plague Marines would have been perfect. Can't just kill them instantly with Stormboys. Help control these Death Dreads, keep them snared. Wow, and the Mech Boy goes down again to the damage over time. Death Dread here claiming, I love the sync from the Death Dread, claiming the life of one of the Noise Marines, but they really weren't achieving that much. It's going to be a Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought, but the thing is, you go Mark of Tzeentch, yes, your DPS versus vehicles at ranged is way higher, but you lose all your melee resist, so now this doesn't even have the 20% melee resist, it's got 0, so it's going to get absolutely wrecked in melee by the Death Dreads. So quite a ballsy play. There's still 2 Death Dreads on the field, and you don't have any snare for them. What stops them just rushing down the Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought? Nothing, really. Don't even have the Power Fist and the Plague Champion to counter-initiate. Not like that'd do that much against the Death Dread anyway. It's a strange one, this one. I don't know. I don't really like this Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought. Looks like Fufu's economy in general doing a lot better than Jones's here. Map control's been fairly even. I think Fufu has had a little bit of an advantage. I feel like these peripheral points he has been holding a lot more of. I have never really seen Jones put pressure onto this wreck point, whereas I have seen Fufu put pressure onto this one a few times. It's going to be dual Mark of Khorne CSM. An interesting choice, but honestly, I don't dislike it at this point. It really feels like the ranged CSM have done nothing. And whilst Mark of Khorne CSM don't really trade that well into tier 2 orcs with their knob leaders on the boys, it probably trades better than the ranged CSM, which really aren't doing anything at all right now. Really heavy commitment though into the Mark of Khorne CSM. going not only for the mark right now, but the AC as well. I was going to say, could do with helping his Chosen Plague Marines right now against all these ranged forces by sending the KCSM in. He does. They're going to get rid of these shooters relatively quickly, but that's not the real problem. The real problem for them boys is the Death Dreads and the Sluggers. So yeah, they both retreat pretty fast. I think they actually probably could have stayed in a little bit longer. You do have the Chosen Plague Marines coming up and the Blight Grenade, which is always going to hurt the Slugger boys a bit more. But this is the issue really. The Death Dread's just forcing melee onto the Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought. Chosen Plague Marines putting in work. Oh, Fufu is tier 3 now and has got Commandos out. They're going to be pretty scary. Commandos is a nice choice here. You can see the Daka there is going to hurt the Plague Marines pretty bad. But they also can get their Nob Leader, who is, I believe, equivalent to 3 Tank Busters in terms of the strength of his rocket launcher. That will obviously help deal with that Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought. And once that Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought's gone down, there's literally nothing to contest these two Death Dreads. Repairs are going to be a problem for the Death Dreads though. Losing the Mech Boy. Very problematic for that reason. He would have been constant repair support. You'll notice that most of these engagements now, the Death Dreads are getting involved in the fight without maximum HP, and this is a constant problem for the Orcs. It's the reason why repair Gretchens are a thing. Might not be a terrible idea to get some on the field right now and help with the repair of these double DDs. The double Death Dreads are still being very useful even this late into the game. They're very, very strong. They help control the KCSM. They're probably one of your best options to deal with Chosen Plague Marines. Here comes a Tank Buster Barrage. Will it land? I mean, it gets a couple of decent hits. Not a perfect hit on the Tzeentch Dreadnought. But what about the Blastmaster? That was a good Blastmaster shot. Looks like we've got some Touch of Nurgle down on the Khorne Chaos Space Marines here, and you can see the damage that Touch of Nurgle does when it's used on those units with more HP. Huge amounts of damage there. The Slugger Boys are going to have to retreat. And the Blastmaster putting a lot of pressure onto the ranged fire line of the Orcs here. Khorne Marine's going to catch the Tank Busters out of position. I don't really know where they were going. Perhaps some sort of side cap onto the wreck or something. Probably would have been better off going around this way. And for now, Jones retains control of the mid. Fufu, though, being tier 3, I think gives him a good advantage. No repairs in the Death Dread. So sad. So sad. Just get some Grots, man, at this point. Needs to get these guys repaired. They're vital to his composition right now. So Jones does get the decap. It's going to cost him a couple of Khorne Marine models. Were either of them the AC? No. So that was lucky. Doesn't lose the AC, just normal models, so only another 130 or so requisition to reinforce that, but probably worth it at this point of the game. I mean, look at the VPs. VPs are now getting below 100 for Fufu. It's going to be another Dreadnought for Jones. Classic. If you're stuck in tier 2 as Chaos, what do you do? Spam Dreadnoughts. Makes sense. Would really like to see some more upgrades for his Plague Champion. A little bit confused why he doesn't have the Armour of Pestilence. It's just such a good war gear to get that massive amount of extra HP. Then you get knockback immunity, so that's great for capping that mid VP under fire, especially from the Weird Boy or something like that. And then you get AoE knockback as well to control the melee. Well worth it for him. So, it's coming out again. No repairs on the Death Dreads. They're still super, super fragile. Gonna start his Daka here onto the Chosen Plague Marines. You can see how tanky they are. What level are these guys? Yeah, level 2. This Death Dread's gonna get killed by the Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought, by the Blastmaster. Oh, this is bad play by Fufu. I don't know why he's leading with the Death Dread. Yeah, not great. Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought here, gonna finish off the Death Dread. Chosen Plague Marine's nearly going down. Managed to get out with one model. This is looking like a great situation. Probably wants to use the barrage here from the Dread and the Tank Busters, shut them up for a while, and the Khorne Marines, along with a Noxious Cloud and some beautiful Blastmaster hits, actually taking on the Orcs quite well here. I mean, obviously it's just Slugger Boys on their own there versus double Khorne Marines. Not a great situation for Fufu. Now there's a flank from an autocannon Dreadnought. I mean, yeah, this is just brutal. Going for a looted tank. But at this point, Fufu's kind of screwed. Yeah, no matter what he gets, he's kind of screwed because looted tank gonna struggle against the Blastmaster and the Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought and the autocannon Dreadnought too much at once. Then if he goes for the knobs, this can become Mark of Khorne. It'll handle the knobs quite well. Blastmass is good, and so is double Khorne Marines plus Chosen Plague Marines. So all of his options kind of exhausted there. I mean, definitely a favourable matchup for the PC, but a huge amount of mistakes from both players in this game. What can you say? But hopefully you enjoyed it. Nice to see some orcs in action. Hopefully I can cast a game where the orcs actually win for a change. But what can you do? It's a big ask when you're putting them against a Plague Champion. That's all from your boy SCD this time. Torpid signing out.